Hey, welcome back to the Splinter Twins. I'm Kyle, that's Mark, and he has got a spicy take today.
See this, Kyle? This is a little hill that I am prepared to die on. Aftermath was a good set, and it was a good idea, if you don't think so, you're wrong, and I'm here to tell you why.
So, Mark, refresh the people. What it seems like it
I
was
know.
450 years ago, but Aftermath was just last summer. We're actually just about the year mark for this set. So, what was Magic the Gathering Presents Aftermath Extravaganza?
Yeah, it was just a really quick little 50 card set. I know it was 35 rares and mythics and 15 commons and uncommons. And the idea was it was just going to be a little splash in the summertime.
A little Sousson.
Little and that I think was initially when they announced it, ahead of time, met with trepid excitement, right? Like the idea that we're going to get a little micro set in the summertime
Cautious
is
enthusiasm.
cautious enthusiasm, I would say. But obviously, it shit the bed so hard that even though this summer we were supposed to have the same thing, Wizards did something they don't normally do, which was rapidly change course. And they folded Big Score back into OTJ as a bonus sheet. And we'll talk about all that stuff. But we'll talk about the problems of why it did not work out. But I think here on June 20th, when we're recording this video, I think this will probably come out in the latter part of June, in the dog days of Standard. Man, don't you wish we had a fresh set of cards right now?
I do. And you guys, like, we took the last week off. This week, we're not doing a standard video. We'll probably have some more standard videos before the
Yeah.
summer is out. But, like, by the way, that's the thing I love about this channel. We don't do this for a living. So if we don't
No.
feel like making a standard video, we just don't, which is
Yeah.
a lot better than watching people phone it in.
Yeah, that's
I
rough,
think
man.
that's,
Sometimes I appreciate it because God knows I phone in my actual real job sometimes when I'm not feeling it. That is the work. But man, there's sometimes I'll be watching Magic Creators and I'm like, you don't want to be here.
it's a long one, man. It's OTJ was on the 16th of April, and we still have until 2 August until Bloomborough comes out. So we still have more than a month before we get new cards filtering into standard.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like we're just at time of recording only a month into yeah, 2 months into OTJ, and it's been a good set. I like OTJ, but I was looking back at some of the videos we made, and those real quirky build around cards, Greed's Gambit, the what's that blue artifact card, the
Uh,
simulator.
yeah, Simulacrum Simulator.
Is that what it's called? That
Pretty
thing,
sure.
right? There's a lot of stuff in Big Score that I think was really fun to brew up and would have really, I don't know if it would have changed, the Spike's opinion about what was good or broken into the tournament scene, but it certainly would have been fun for us Timmies and Jimmies to go off with. And instead, we just kind of got it all at once. And I think that's a real mistake. I really think this summer slot where we just have this void in standard. And it's not always, if you're new to Magic, been that way, right? We used to have these things called core sets that came out every year, and they would drop in the early part of July. So we had like the last one that we did. I can't believe this. I had to look it up. Core 2021. It's been 3 years since we had a core set. And this slot's been just completely overrun by other products. Modern Horizons 3, if you want, for example, want to play a draft format that sucks ass. I called it, by the way. I called it. Thank you very much. We'll clip that here. There's every chance that Modern Horizon 3 might actually suck ass. Like, if you don't like bombs and OTJ, wait till you play Modern Horizon draft. Fuck yeah. Yeah, Eldrazi, not interested. Play modern. That's cool. It's going to mix things up. Last year we had Lord of the Rings. That's great. But you notice a pattern here. We're getting different kinds of drops and no love for standard. And so these summers just, ooh, they stretch out, Kyle. They stretch out so bad.
Which wasn't a problem back in the day when you just, I guess, you jam modern in the summer in between blocks or whatever. It didn't
Well,
hit the same way. It's because of Arena. That's why
yeah,
this is a problem. It was never a problem for the first, I don't know, how many decade that we played Magic
25
before
years.
Arena came out. I'm,
Oh,
I'm
you
talking
and me,
about just
yeah.
from personal
Yeah,
experience. It just
yeah.
never was a problem. But now I'm like, like pretty much the entire calendar year, I don't go a day without firing up Arena. During the summer, pretty common that I'm sitting
Yeah.
there like I need to log in and do some quests to build up some coins for Bloomborough when it comes out. But yeah, I mean, The games feel very samey, and it's not something that like
Yeah.
I hate, but it's also not like, oh yeah, this
No,
is for sure the first thing I'm going to do with my free time.
I do kind of hate it. I do hate when it stagnates because I think it's just right. I know it's hard to get that perfect cadence, like how people, because at the same time, people are firing off with their opinions. Oh, product fatigue! You're making too much stuff. And I am one of those people. Don't get me wrong. So I am sympathetic that it's hard to balance, but like this, I do think the what we call epilogue sets, this 50 card little injection in the summertime, I do think this was the perfect solution because we can see it play out. When look at all some of our favorite decks from Aftermath, right? What do we got in there? The Green Gruul Hasty guy, Mamet, Tiamat, whatever his name was. He was a ton of fun. There was the Coppercoat Vanguard that made humans a thing. Like there was so much stuff in that set that impacted Standard on Arena and even in Paper to some degree. But there was a problem, Kyle. WOTC be greeting, and they done did fucked it.
The problem comes down to price because it is a paper product, right? On Arena, the economy is just different. That's a fact. But when WOTC is investing the overhead to print paper product, WOTC needs to have that paper product move. And Aftermath, move it did not. Anecdotally, everybody was talking about it on Reddit. My friend Rob, that owns a card store, was like, I can't get rid of these goddamn things. It was a flop of a set. And a bunch of that comes down to the fact that people just didn't want to pay for less cardboard. You could tell them there's a rare in every pack, but without the commons and uncommons and full packs, nobody was interested. It was dead on arrival when people found out they were going to pay essentially the same price for way less cards.
Yeah, not just 8 rare, up to 3 rares, right? Like most of the pack was rares, but it's a feels bad. And I really do think this is a level of like the consumer was informed here, right? When you tell someone, I personally did not buy a pack of Aftermath because I am not about to give WotC $5 for 5 cards. Fuck that. I'm just not gonna let him do it. I think that was a real kind of a Rubicon moment for the Magic community. In some of the ways, like there's been universal backlash to like Magic 30 and some of the real Greed Lord stuff, but this one I think really chaffed people to say, at the end of the day, let's say, like, do you have any delusions if this set sold gangbusters, right? For whatever reason, people were chasing a busted mythic or whatever. Are you under any delusions that they wouldn't raise the price for a regular box set? I was going to say booster box, but now it's a play booster box or whatever. Like, yeah, they would put less cards in there because why wouldn't they? That's WotC be WotCing. And, yeah, people said no to that. They said hard fucking no. And this is why Aftermath failed. This is the problem. Not because it was a bad idea, because they greeted themselves out of an opportunity.
So price, I would say, is one of the issues. The second issue, I would say, is for sure the fact, in no small part, I don't think it's as big as price. That's king shit on Turd Mountain. But the next, I would say, it's a non-draftable format. And a lot of paper product gets moved by draft. People buy boxes now because they want to draft. A lot of local game stores, the only thing you can actually get to fire on Friday nights at F&M is draft. And people will like that. They'll open the cards. It's how the economy of the local game store gets new singles circulating in so people can put them in a commander deck that they're never going to play again. Fight me. But the fact that you couldn't draft this was a big deal. People couldn't buy these boxes to be like, oh, hey, I like this draft set. I'm going to buy 2 boxes and I'm going to put them in the closet for game night in a year when we're all like nostalgic about this whatever set and we can draft them again. That didn't happen at all.
I would love to play Paper Dominaria United right now. I fucking love that set. Yeah, I think the non-draftable format really was a problem. It not just because it's a problem, but like you look at some of these channels, like look at Channel Fireball and their drafts. Look at Paul Chian, who's doing his Road to One. Like, there is clearly interest in draft. Even people that aren't going down to the LGS and playing draft, people are interested in watching draft.
Oh, I bet you it's one of the biggest moneymakers on Arena.
I mean, yeah, because it's the thing you can't play for free. So the fact that they just kind of scooped it, like the only reason why I was interested in Lord of the Rings and the only reason why I dipped my toes into Modern Horizons 3 is because they were draftable, right? anything that's not draftable, like for example, this one, like if you gave me a set that wasn't draftable and wasn't standard legal, it literally means nothing to me. Like I'm not interested in it.
Yeah,
And
and a
so,
lot of the cards in Modern Horizon might as well have not been standard legal.
God, yeah. Writhing Chrysalis, anybody? God, why? So that was a problem. The greed sunk this format. But I also think, and you tell me if I'm being Vorthos here, I really think the shit-tastic story from March of the Machines and the whole Phyrexian saga, nobody wants an epilogue to a bad story.
Yeah, nobody eats poop and is like, you know what? Let me chase that with a little bit more poop.
Does that matter to people?
It does. I think it does, especially in franchise players that are going to go out and buy boxes. I don't think that's like the thing that's going to, like, if the cards are all shit and not playable, people aren't going to buy boxes. But if it was the catharsis of this big climactic moment, people have a ton of nostalgia for the Phyrexians. If it was this like post in-game build up,
that's the problem.
I know. I'm just saying, like, not a copy of that, but like that same sort of like narrative feeling. If it was like that, people would love to see what happened to their favorite characters post the battle, how and also just from a pure story standpoint, there were some pretty significant changes after March of the Machine with the Omen paths and planeswalkers that we've known for decades being desparked. There was a lot of big story changes, which Wizards has been taking a lot of spears in the past, like, 5-6 years of storytelling, because everything sort of ends up back at the status quo every time and nothing changes. The worlds feel very stagnant. This was a leap. Things changed. The execution, though, was not very satisfying. And
now they're all fucking wearing cowboy hats.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in a second. I do hear you with that. Like, I do think, and so if you're saying to yourself, no, that doesn't matter, I will proof point you Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, right? Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was an absolute, from all metrics, in terms of critical reception, sales numbers, everything. People freaking loved that set. It was an absolute gangbusters. And it wasn't because everyone sat there and read the blog of the page or watched Magic Arcana, like, with Ryan Gomez. That wasn't it. The flavor, the feeling, the look, the coolness of those cards. I bought packs of those cards just because I just love to look at them. And I don't think that can be understated. If they would have had the same kind of flavor win for March of the Machines, then I think it would have moved more packs. I really honestly do think it's not just a, this Planeswalker, whatever. Sometimes I do think they just get way too in game with that shit. Like, that stuff was kind of cringe with the portals and the, we're all going to come together, and it just felt very like.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we could make a whole nother video on why the March of the Machine story was copying something from 5 years ago that was bad.
But Kyle, I will not concede that this is a broken idea, and I'm not just here to lament and throw some funeral flowers for Aftermath and Big Score.
Kenrith's funeral.
That's terrible.
Cut it here. It's done.
Now we're done now. So Rosewater himself proclaimed, what are you drinking?
That is Maker's Mark and Coke.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm drinking. Cheers.
Twinsies!
Tink.
What am I going to talk to you? I'm going to talk to you sober? Get the fuck out of here.
No, I don't like that. No, we're basically, are we Rush or the Eagles? I think we're the Eagles. Yeah. Rosewater himself, my point is, said that it is, quote, I will say pretty unlikely that we're going to get, end quote, that we're going to get another one of these sets. It's done. They, like I said, they folded up this Big Score Epilogue set, which was actually smaller. It was only, I think, no uncommons or commons, only 30 rares and mythics into that set. So the idea is dead, but I, Kyle, have a plan to save it. A secret plan. It's not a secret plan.
I know your secret plan because I've read the show notes, and I think it's actually a really good idea for
it is a really
couple reasons, not the least of which it solves the two reasons that we mentioned up top is the biggest problems.
So it's simple. We keep the set. We introduce all the same silly Timmy rares and mythics that you know to love. The Gambit's Greed, the fucking synthesizer, all the silly stuff. But we don't try to dime people out on the commons and uncommons. Give me the rest of the pack, Wizards. So here's what I propose. We have those regular play boosters supplemented with the last year's commons and uncommons. So you take all the sets, you jumble them up in there. I know what you're thinking. There's a little bit of Midnight Madness or whatever that terrible mashup thing was with the
double
Innistrad
feature.
sets. Double feature. We're not doing that. We're not going to make them weirdly black and white or whatever. What we are going to do is supplement these, and while we're at it, you gave me the idea, create a curated draft experience, right? We're going to introduce some new silly rares, and we get just a little bit of just a little bit of R&D.
Reddit would do it for free.
Fuck yeah, they would. Literally, put a poll up. I don't know. Like, you could come up with a curated set of the last, year's worth of cards, and just when you go pop down your $5 at the LGS, and you're getting all of the cards that a pack should entail, plus some new rares that you can go chase, like, that's it, man. That's so fun. Like, we can do this.
And like you said, people are going to get the same number of cards they would in a normal play booster, and now all of a sudden you've got a brand new, never before seen draft experience, which people are going to love. That's going to be hype. And you know what? Like, their commons and uncommons, it's not going to take a shitload of R&D. Just put some decent commons in each color, put some decent fun build around uncommons in, and just let it go. Like, we're only going to be playing it for 2 or 3 months anyway. It'll be fine, and it will move packs. But yes, I love your idea. I think it is an elegant solution because primarily it solves the price problem, but it also lets people draft in a way that they've never really get to draft outside of making their own cube.
Well, it also solves the number one problem, which is we need a summer interjection, right? Like, we need that little bump to tide us over, right? These are 4 long months here in the summer. We're going April to August, right? It's kind of a lot. So being able to just put this interjection in there, as a content creator, selfishly, this would really help us out. But also, I think just someone
as a content creator,
not really. 12 people are going to watch this video, but my point stands. I think this would really be fun. And on the draft experience, what's like the number one complaint with OTJ?
Green's too good?
No, you're not playing enough of it. There's too goddamn many bonus sheets up in there, right?
Oh, and yeah, that's for sure.
It's not because, like, bonus sheets are bad. It's because there's too many rares that you're just never going to see, right? Like, all of a sudden, someone's playing, like, a Morbid Opportunist, and you're like, what the fuck is this, right? With this kind of draft environment, I think it'd really be interesting because you only have 30 rares, right? There's very, very few drafts where you're not going to see, right, in the same pool, all of the rares, right? Like, you're going to see everything. And so you can kind of expect them. You can kind of plan around them. If a Bonnie Paul slips through, it's going to hurt in terms of the groan factor because you're going to see it a lot. But I do think there's a level of, like, fuck it, who cares? Let's get silly because some of these cards are, like, brutastical. And so maybe, like, like with a synthesizer, unless it's really well supported, we're just going to kind of ignore the rares and just have a good old-fashioned draft, right? Where we're just drafting these commons and uncommons, playing the archetypes, and trying to make it work. But again, draft is a secondary consideration for me. It's all about trying to get a little standard ejection.
And again, it solves the price problem. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you think now that we are facing the course correction from Wizards of the Gathering, how much whiskey did I pour into this thing? Now that we're facing,
it's a big glass.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of Coke. Now that we're faced with a summer without a bonus sheet and without Aftermath, I don't know. I think last year it was the grass is kind of greener, and maybe people didn't appreciate what they had. And, people were brewing fun Nissa decks, and they're like, oh, this one's pretty good, actually. And you're like, yeah, it kind of is. And it's a long time in between sips at the old water trough. And I personally love your idea. And if they had done that with Big Score, I don't think OTJ would have been worse off. And I think we'd be making badass, cool standard videos right now with new cards.
Well, let us know what you think. Let us know what we got wrong. And like Kyle said, we're going to come back with, we'll probably do some more drafts. Maybe a few OTJ drafts, honestly. I'm still loving that format. It's still pretty good in terms of the old drafts over there. We'll come back with some more standard fours. I'm really excited. There's some more big score cards, actually, that I'm interested to brew around. So we're not going anywhere. We're having fun with it. And we will see you guys in the next one.